In the quiet town of Springfield, Ohio, Nancy Thompson and her friends are suddenly and mysteriously stalked night after night in their dreams. The grotesque burnt stranger, calling himself Fred Krueger, hacks and slashes his way through the town in seemingly random fashion. One by one, the bodies stack up, leaving police and parents with no answers and even more questions. As time begins to run out, Nancy is determined to put an end to the killings and unveil the dark secret hidden by the parents of Elm Street once and for all. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode we'll be covering 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street, written and directed by Wes Craven. I'm your boyfriend now. Hey guys, welcome to Midnight Double Feature. Excited to be talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street with you guys. But before we get into that, my friend, my good friend, my co-host, my one and only Zoheb Ali. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. I'm ready to talk about this. It had been 6 hours since I talked about a horror movie, so I was withdrawing. I was
jonesing.
I was jonesing pretty hard. We went on a Batman run there, and I was like, okay, I gotta get back. Gotta get that mother's milk. Get back to the supple. But guys, if this is your first time checking us out, thank you so much for listening to us. We're going to be going through 1984's Nightmare on Elm Street. We're going to be going through it basically scene by scene for the most part, breaking it down chronologically. We are going to spoil this movie, and there's an E on this motherfucker for a reason. And with that out of the way, kind of social, some housekeeping and stuff. Stop by and check out our website, midnightdoublefeature.com, where you can find out most of the stuff going on with us. You can check out written reviews. We've got some merch, and you can also check out our Patreon. That's going to be patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature /Midnight Double Feature. And it's called The Green Room. It's $5 a month. We've got 40, pushing 50 episodes right now in our Patreon. And we've got a lot of stuff in there. We've got where we just chat about movies for an hour. We've got commentaries. We just did an episode bonus on the Batman, Matt Reeves' The Batman, that just came out. So we wanted to get that up bright and early. And also check out our Breaking Bad podcast called Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. We go through that episode by episode. I have never seen the show before, so it's always kind of guessing at what's going on. Zoheb is somewhat of like my guide through that series. We're kind of checking out those episodes. He's seen it 5 or 6 times, and it's a lot of fun. It's something still kind of new for us. It's the first TV show we've covered, hopefully one of many, and we're really enjoying it over there. So again, that's Bad Crystal, a Breaking Bad podcast. But guys, all that's out of the way. Man, it has been 3 years that we've been doing this podcast. 4 years since we've been doing this podcast. And we have never, except for Freddy versus Jason, and that's on bonus, Patreon, there you go. That's the only time we've ever talked about Freddy fucking Krueger. That's crazy, man. Like, I mean, let me just ask you this. What is, before we even get into any type of Fred Krueger, you got Leatherface, Mike Myers, Freddy Krueger, and like, you know what, Pinhead, I guess that's another one of the Mount Rushmore of like slashers. Who is your, when you think slasher, who's your go-to?
Freddy Krueger. I mean, without hesitation, I think it's going to be, and we'll talk about it because like I was thinking about this as well. I think when it comes to creativity, it's Freddy Krueger. I mean, it's the look, it's the. And it's what he became as well. Like, I mean, yes, he's terrifying in this first movie, but like, popular culture kind of like made him into this sort of like wisecracking killer.
Like the Joker.
But like, yeah, exactly. But like, and it's really interesting that the last time we saw Freddy Krueger on screen, on the big screen, was 12 years ago in that remake. Which, by the way, we are covering on our Patreon as well. So by the time you hear this episode, you can also check out our coverage on the 2010 remake of this movie. So, I think, without hesitation, it's Freddy Krueger as the go-to slasher. And I'm not sure why, but I am keen to kind of like dive into why possibly it might be the supernatural element of it. I think Michael Myers is a close second, but probably only because of the recent sort of like movies that Michael Myers has kind of like undergone. So, he's kind of like in the zeitgeist.
He's kind of a renaissance going on right now.
Right, exactly. But I mean, like Jason, come on, man. Like, no, I'm good.
And I think that you can look at. I mean, Michael Myers was definitely like the first of those really really popular ones. For this wasn't until '84. Friday the 13th wasn't even Jason. And that's '81. And those are you got to always tip the hat to Halloween. Because that was really the one that just cracked that
78, right?
78, 79, I think it really cracked that fucking gate open. But yeah, Freddy Krueger has always been my go-to. And surprise, surprise, I really, really enjoy this movie. I think there's parts of it that definitely don't hold up. I think there's parts that were eerily futuristic, that could really kind of figure out like that we're really ahead of the curve. And I think that this movie was the first, definitely one of the first slasher films that I saw, but it was the only box set. We had this and the Rocky series on VHS. And when you put all of the Freddy Krueger movies in, it was Freddy on the side with like his arms stretched out.
Oh, that's cool.
He's wearing the big trench coat and the hat from New Nightmare. And he gets silly, and he kind of gets like downgraded as time goes on. But I did think Freddy versus Jason kind of, it paid homage like to a lot of that goofy shit, but he was pretty fucking terrifying in Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
It's parts of that movie
goofy, the villain essentially in that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely like the Riddler, and that he's the one, pulling all these pieces and stuff. But I really enjoy this movie. I love the fact that it's 90 minutes long. Man, it's just something you don't like. The credits for this movie, the end credits are like 60 seconds long. It's like, that's insane. Now it takes fucking 8 minutes to get through like a set of credits.
We open with Tina already in a dream and already being like, there's no preamble to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, good night, I'm going to sleep, blah, blah. We open with her already in the dream, already being terrorized by Freddy Krueger. Mm-hmm. This script is so incredibly tight.
Yeah. Well, and also the fucking... the gamble that this movie was. There's a great Netflix show called The Movies That Made Us, and they cover Nightmare on Elm Street. And like it is the best way I can summarize the making of this movie is like watching a football game when somebody gets hit and the ball goes up and everybody's just tapping the ball to keep it up. And I mean, that shit was just going on left and right. And I don't want to go too crazy into it because that's a fantastic show. But the making of this movie was really well documented, and the fact that basically Bob Shea is New Line Cinema, and that they were, I mean, really putting everything on the line to get this made. And if this hadn't worked out, there would be no New Line Cinema. Wes Craven, you never would have heard of these people. Maybe later on, but I mean, definitely not in this, not this early, not in this shape, form, or fashion. But yeah, Freddy has always been my go-to. Freddy's always been my slasher. I've seen a few of the Michael Myers movies. I've seen a few Jason films, but they never really appealed to me. And there was something about Freddy Krueger that he didn't just pick up a knife or a bat or a machete. Like, he had a weapon he hunted with. It was like the Predator's bow and arrow, like he had a technique. And not only that, he was verbose, and he wasn't huge. He's like the redheaded ginger stepchild of these like mountain men murderers, and he's almost like the black sheep in a way where he's talkative. He's short, he's not very big.
He was going to be huge.
Oh, really?
You know about this, right? Like, it was, yeah. So, apparently, and like, just whatever research I did on the fucking shitter earlier this morning, Wes Craven originally talked to Kane Hodder, who would become famous for playing Jason Voorhees. And Kane Hodder was like, I had a meeting with Wes Craven about playing a character he was developing called Freddy Krueger. At the time, Wes wasn't sure what kind of person he wanted for the role of Freddy, so I had a good shot as anybody else. He was initially thinking of a big guy for the part, and he was also thinking of somebody who had real burn scars. But obviously, he changed his whole line of thinking and went with Robert Englund, who's smaller. I would have loved to play the part, but I do think Wes made the right choice. So, like, it would have been interesting to have... I love, ultimately, the idea of, like, Freddy being this, like, smaller, sort of wiry person. But, like, yeah, that would have been an interesting way to go, to have this big hulking figure. chasing him. But I guess that's what it kind of like, Jason Voorhees ended up being, sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And what's so funny, you mentioned Kane Hodder. I walked right past him at a convention, and I literally walked. I just kind of looked over, and I was like, man, that guy's stance is really weird. And it, like, his arms and shit set weird because he's just had so many injuries. He was like a stuntman for a long time. And I walked right past him, and I looked, and I did a double take, and I was like, Lindsay, that's Kane Hodder. She's like, oh my God. Who's Kane Hodder? I was like,
that's Freddy. That's Jason's voice.
Yeah, that's fucking Jason, man. But this movie, I think, like you said, unbelievably creative. It's like the inception of horror movies. The dream world and all this fantastical shit that can happen. Whereas there's Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Jason, I guess, more so than Michael, but there's really no solid explanation for why they're able to just get shot. I shot him 6 times and get right back up. Jason, you kind of get that because he's like a more supernatural thing, but Freddy straight up, like, definitively, this guy doesn't even exist in the real world. This guy has his own kind of like hellscape. And I think they try to explain some stuff like he's a dream demon and he was given power by so and so, and I'm like, no, man, just don't do that. Just don't. I think it's so much more interesting when it's like, who knows what the hell he is? Maybe he's this, maybe he's that, but it's just kind of ambiguous. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I think a prime example of a movie that did that and fumbled the fuck out of it was like It Chapter 2. They just went crazy trying to explain all this Pennywise shit. And it's like, dude, good God, man. But and there's something about in the dreamscape, you have to sleep. It's almost like, it's not like, oh, well, he'll get you if you walk out into the sunlight, or if you go here, or if you do this, or if you do that. This is like, it's inevitable. At some point, you're going to have to sleep. Like, it doesn't matter. And I think that's so interesting because it's just the besides water, it's like the one thing your body, without a doubt, 110% absolutely has to have at some point. And I think that's so cool. It attacks you at like almost like an elemental, something that's a basic human right, a necessity. I think that's really interesting that it hits you in something where it's like you can't live without it. I always thought that was really cool. It's like Jason and Mike Myers, yeah, you can run away, hit him with a car, but it's like, dude, at some point you got to sleep. It's like your own worst enemy, I love that. I think that's so interesting. Sorry. I was taking a sip of my drink. But I mean, beyond that, I think fair to say we're both pretty big fans. If you have you seen a lot of the other ones?
So I've seen this. I've seen the second one. I've seen Dream Warriors. I've seen A New Nightmare and Freddy vs. Jason. I haven't seen any others.
I think that's almost exactly my lineup for sure.
Okay. Because I haven't seen Dream Master, I think, which is number 4.
Okay, I have seen that one.
I think I have a vague memory of Freddy's Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the one where he's in the game? Like kind of
maybe
like
he's got that
like a sort of like
arm thing on
an arcade game sort of thing.
I can't remember. I know, is that the one that's like tries to be really 3D? I think. I can't remember. That's where it really starts to get off the rails. 2 is yes. Better than people give it credit for. 3 and 4 are very
2
good.
2 is the gayest movie ever made, apparently.
Dude, people get so fucking obsessed with it, and it's annoying. It's just like, dude, okay, yes, that's definitely like, there's definitely like a lot of subtext there, but at the same time, like, that's a cool way to continue the story of like Freddy possessing, like, I don't want the dream world, I want the fucking real world. Like, I'm coming for you. I'm like, that, again, that's so cool. Like, trying to cross that barrier, I think is interesting. Maybe not the execution, but, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to talk about kind of like how I came to figure out who the fuck Freddy Krueger was. Like this, I guess I can like say the story here because I'm sure, I think I said it on the bonus episode when we covered Freddy Krueger. Freddy vs. Jason. But I remember being like in like the 2nd or 3rd grade, and people on the playground were talking about like, oh, Freddy vs. Jason is on TV tonight, blah, blah. And like, I remember kind of like going home and being like, I kind of want to watch this. And my dad was like straight up like, yeah, no, I'm not letting you watch that. Because he talked about, my dad was very, very protective over this movie and like not letting my brother and myself watch this. because he watched this back in Fiji when he was like 20 years old. My dad was 20 years old. That tracks because he was born in '64. And this absolutely terrified the fuck out of him. And he's like, I'm not letting you watch that. And then, like a couple of years go by, we rented it from Blockbuster. And man, my brother and I just absolutely just loved this movie. This was such a, but by the time we got around to it, we already knew what Freddy Krueger was.
Sure.
He was already sort of like in the zeitgeist, like, the fact that this is a dream sort of demon who kills you in your sleep. I think for me, that's always been the element that's really drawn me to this character. Not particularly the finger gloves. I mean, that's cool. Like on a surface level, it's kind of cool, but like you said, the idea of like not being able to go to sleep, right? I mean, like this thing that our bodies are designed to do. This thing that our bodies are, once we're born, our bodies are intentionally always trying to go to sleep to recharge our batteries, and it's just something that we can't fight. And the fact that there's a dream demon on the other side once we close our eyes and enter sleep, waiting to kill us, like that's absolutely terrifying. And it's something that every human being on the planet Earth can relate to. Like with horror movies, with any movie in general, a screenwriter is always like trying to find a way to relate to their audience to, like with Spider-Man. Like let's think about Spider-Man. He's just like young kid in New York who's poor and is just trying to do good, right? And with great power comes great responsibility. A lot of like Spider-Man is relatable. Obviously not the power stuff, but like being a kid, being hard done by, wishing you had these powers to be able to help people in need. A lot of like superhero stuff is relatable, but I think when it comes to Freddy Krueger and the story of Nightmare on Elm Street that Wes Craven tells, it's super relatable to everybody on anywhere, because we all fall asleep. We all know what sleep is like. We've all had dreams. We've all had nightmares. And the idea of weaponizing that to use that in a horror setting is, and especially so effectively as it's done in this movie. Like, I think this movie's definitely got its issues. It is nearly 40 years old.
Yeah.
At the time that we're recording this, it's 38 years old. So like, there are some like sort of like practical effects stuff that don't really hold up. It's like, it's kind of like wonky. But sorry, my bad. But I think Robert Englund really, really plays this straight. Like, he really plays this like a goddamn monster.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying and it works. I love it. It's awesome. This is a great movie.
Yeah. And that was, I think, one thing subtly, that they changed was him being a childlike molester to like being a child killer. And it's almost like subconsciously implied in a way. Like, I feel like when you hear that, you just kind of like subconsciously put that in there. Maybe that's just me.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a lot of tongue stuff that he does in this movie. Like, I mean, he does. I mean, like, besides the phone thing, like, the first time he meets Nancy, he does that thing with his tongue, and it's just like, okay. Because, I mean, yes, like, I think it's like ultimately just going to happen naturally. Like, we are going to talk about the remake after this recording, but I mean, like in the remake, obviously he's a child molester instead of child killer. But yeah, like you said, in the original script for this, he was supposed to be a molester. He was not supposed to be a killer. And, there were a spate of child molestations that happened throughout California, during the early 80s. So they ended up changing that to a child killer. And I'm just going to say it here. I think child killer ultimately is more affecting, like child molestation. We can talk about it later, but like it just feels like too much. It just feels like it feels a little unnecessary.
Yeah, it feels kind of like the knife is already in the ribs and then you're breaking it off, because I feel like you can say child killer. And again, subconsciously, I go, well, why do you kill children? You just kill. I've never seen somebody who just kills kids. I'm sure there's somebody, but usually there's some weird sexual control thing in there with people like that. the craziest thing about this whole goddamn movie is like the true stories that have inspired this. The two that I've heard are the sudden death syndrome that I can get into, but the smaller one that gets kind of lost in like the mythology is Wes Craven said as a kid, he was in his room and he looked out the window and there was a guy, this drunk, and this is a long time ago. But he, this drunk in that very, very same kind of hat walking down the street, and he looked out his window in their apartment and this guy was looking up at him, and Wes Craven's like, he scared the shit out of me. And I waited probably 5-10 minutes just sitting on the floor, and just waited. And when I looked down, he was still up there looking. I was like, that is fucking terrifying, dude. That would scare the shit out of me if I was a little kid. But the big one, the one that really kind of kicked this off, was and I've got this article pulled up from Cinema Blend, actually. The way Wes Craven describes it,
hey.
yeah, right. He came up with the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street after reading an article about a family that had survived the killing fields in Cambodia. They made it to the United States, but a young boy in the family still found himself haunted by terrible nightmares while he slept. This is Craven's quote. He told his parents he was afraid that if he slept, the thing chasing him would get him, so he tried to stay awake for days at a time. When he finally fell asleep, parents thought the crisis was over. They heard him screaming. By the time they got to him, he was dead. He would die in the middle of a nightmare. And that was actually something that had happened to multiple people, and they all just kind of not a similar. I don't think any of them were like, it's a guy in a hat with a claw, but they all some malevolent entity, and it was basically, I think a form of like PTSD left over from being, exposed to some of the worst things a human can be exposed to in wartime and stuff. And that was really, really fucking crazy to me. Obviously, I think taking that and kind of making a movie into it is, actually reminds me of an article I read of a town called Bridgend in the UK. And I don't know. I'm hesitant to even talk about it. But there is a story that I read about all these teenagers who started killing themselves. And people, I'm talking kids as young as 12, as old as like 17. And people it was multiple suicides, and they had no idea what the hell was going on. And they kind of just ended up chalking it up to like mass hysteria. But that's the only other thing that I can kind of like, just these kids dropping off one by one with like no explanation and really seemingly no motive for it. Yeah. And that's basically what the story was in Bridgend. But ultimately I think,
well, you know how you test for mass hysteria, right?
How's that?
You see whether the cats and dogs are living together.
Yeah.
That's how you test for mass hysteria.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sorry, that was terrible. That was terrible.
But it's pretty terrible. But what we can do is, now that we've kind of gotten into our opening thoughts, we can jump into this thing proper and kind of really get into the movie. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm keen. Let's go.
Absolutely.
You know who I identified with the most in this movie? Nancy's mother. Just loaded the entire time.
It's like, no, I don't want to be a piece of shit who pulls a switchblade out on somebody when the first occurrence of negativity happens. But no, I want to be like Ronnie Blakely walking around this house just slamming drunk the whole time. That's awesome.
Does she not own glassware? Like, dude, I nearly pissed myself laughing when she just pulls out the fucking bottle.
Oh, dude. It's like, yeah, but I love that because that's so 80s. That's so fucking 80s.
It's so
like
80s.
The absentee parent.
There were 4 times when I like turned to Steph and I'm like, that's so fucking 80s. That's so fucking 80s. Dude.
Yeah. Absolutely. One thing I do love is that the fashion of this movie, a lot of it still holds up. It's not like anything fucking nuts. Everyone's just wearing like blue jeans and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Still looks pretty good.
Before we do get into the movie, can we talk about 1984 as a year?
Terminator, baby.
Man, is this one of the best years in like movie history?
Because like 82, 84, and 86,
So, Terminator, Footloose, Temple of Doom, Ghostbusters, Gremlins,
damn,
Beverly Hills Cop, The Karate Kid.
Jesus.
Like, what the fuck, man? Like, okay, here's one for Patrick, Red Dawn.
Ooh, nice.
Right, there's another one. David Lynch's Dune. I like Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas. That's a movie. The Toxic Avenger. This is Yeah, what a year. Streets of Fire, dude.
Oh,
Streets of Fire.
that's dude.
Baby.
That and I think like 82.
This is Spinal Tap.
Oh man, this is Spinal. Everybody always talks about 82 because it's E.T. the Thing and Blade Runner, all coming out at the same time. But it's like, man, 86 and 87 and 84 though. Those are some really good years for movies.
Yeah. Purple Rain.
But anyways, when we first kind of open with this movie, we're seeing the build of Freddy Krueger's glove. Apparently, this was, I guess, the prop master. I think because he was the only one who really knew how to like assemble this thing. So it's actually him. But I mean, imagine being in theaters 1984. You see this dirty, and that's one thing about Freddy Krueger. He's always dirty. He's like this. There's always grease or just smoke, and like it's like
the boiler room.
Yes, it's always grungy, and just the. As this thing is starting, is like, holy hell, man! Like just really grabbing attention, like right off the fucking bat. And
it's really punk rock.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. And we get our first character, Tina, also our first to die, played by, I believe, Manda Weiss. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But we see her in this dream, basically. Kind of getting our first inkling of what the hell is going on, and just the juxtaposition of like her in the white nightie, and this awful dank, like fucking crazy, it's like hell's furnace, like what the hell, what is this place? And the imagery of like what is it, like a goat or a sheep or something? I think it's a goat. I don't know. Not up on my barn animals.
That is what. I think it's a goat. But that's what stuck with me this time around. Like talk about something like, let's talk about dreams for a second and how random our dreams are. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you'd get an element in your dream that'd be like, that should not be there. Like, that is so unnatural. Like, that should not, I don't know. I'm not going to like pick out a specific example of my dream that I had or anything like that. But there are like sometimes when you might be walking around in a park and a fucking dinosaur walks by, right? Like, I mean, it's so unnatural to be in this setting. That's what this goat is to me. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck is this doing here, man?
Dude.
By the way, 2 points. Introducing Johnny Depp.
I know, right?
That always looks weird to me. Always looks weird. And number 2, what I think this movie does, and the remake does as well, obviously the remake is taking a lot of cues from this movie, is playing with your expectations on who's going to be the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we're meant to believe that Tina is, I mean, like, obviously by virtue of being the first character on screen, and she's the one who figures it out very early on, like, that like, oh shit, like these dreams are like, we're having the same dream, whatever. I love the idea of like, in 1984, we're playing with expectations with who's going to be the lead. That's so cool.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think they pivot that really well because, once we have this scene of her waking up and having, this nightmare and God, her mom, you're going to have to trim your toenails or you're going to have to stop dreaming like that. It's like one of those things is way beyond my control. Toenails. Toenails. That's so funny.
Did she say
toenails?
I did say
toenails. I was like, I don't know why toenails stuck out to me. Like she's, I'm mad.
Oh, okay, because you said toenails, and I was like, wait, did she say toenails? I was like, what the fuck?
That's how she scratches herself. It's like a dog. She just brings it up. It's like, gang, 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 gang. Like
she's like super flexible.
Oh, man, that's why do you think Rod's after it so much, man?
Oh man,
oh, poor Rod. That guy, that actor.
Did you hear their orgasms later, man? That shit was groundbreaking.
I mean, good for them though. They're gonna get fucking killed in 40 minutes. I'm gonna mispronounce his first name is JSU. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Garcia. But he's the one who plays Rod, and he actually even said, he was like, yeah, I would go into auditions and say that I was Italian because nobody wanted to hire somebody who was like Spanish speaking. I was like, that fucking sucks, man. It's like eventually I just started telling everybody I was Italian and they bought it. Like, oh wow, that really sucks. But we're really introduced kind of
I think it's Jesus.
Is it?
I think his name is Jesus Garcia. Yeah, Jesus JSU Garcia.
Oh, okay.
Also credited as Nick Corey.
Nick. Oh, okay. Interesting. I guess he had a stage name, but yeah. Also, John Saxon and oh my God, what the fuck is her name? I almost said Lynn Shay, the mom. My God,
It is Lynch. Well, Lynch is the teacher, but the mom is
Ronnie Blakely.
Is it Amanda Weiss?
Yeah. Ronnie Blakely and John Saxon are actually top billing in the credits over Heather Langenkamp. It's like, oh yeah, because I guess she was kind of, John Saxon's got like 200 something credits to his fucking name. Like that guy's been he's in Enter the Dragon, for God's sake. But we really, we hit the ground running. We meet a lot of our characters after she wakes up from the stream. We're introduced to Rod, and I think Glenn is Johnny Depp. I'm just going to call him Johnny Depp because that's
Glenn.
Yeah.
It's Glenn.
Now he's Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
But
so baby-faced,
man.
It's
so so apparently, and this has not been verified, but Jackie Earle Haley plays obviously Kruger in the remake, and somebody said like, yeah, the only reason Johnny Depp got this movie is he went to an audition with a friend of his, and his friend was auditioning for Glenn, and it was Jackie Earle Haley because he was a child actor, and his career kind of dried up, I guess, a little bit. And then he just came back and started hitting fucking homers, after Watchmen and shit. But apparently, but even Jackie Earle Haley's like, yeah, like Johnny Depp could have been there. We were friends, so it's like, it's possible. He was like,
that's interesting.
Like, that's cool. It's like a little Hollywood myth,
The piece of information that I could find pretty much everywhere, like it's corroborated so many times, is that Johnny Depp is only cast in this because Wes Craven's daughter thought he was hot.
That's in that movies that made us. She was like, Dad, if you don't put him in this, I will never forgive you. He is just a dreamboat.
And Wes Craven is credited as being like, oh, he kind of looks like a little dead behind the eyes. Like he didn't initially want him.
That's so. And especially this being his first thing, he's extremely natural. He's really comfortable in front of a camera. Like I think he does a pretty good job.
I thought it was really strange, that he was sort of like naturally, gifted in front of the camera, because I also read that once the camera stopped rolling, he'd beat his wife. I don't know.
That's fucking. That was all in self-defense.
I don't know. Look, I'm not taking any sides here. I'm just.
Oh no. That thing is so hilarious because Paul Bettany was like, yeah, I had to read out some like joke texts that I sent Johnny Depp like in court, and they were pretty bad. Like, oh, we should drown Amber Heard and shit. I was like, oh my god. Because apparently that's how they tested if you were a witch. They'd tie you up and throw you in a river or something. And she was like, if she floats, she's a witch. And I was like, that's fucking terrible. I tell you what, Johnny Depp would have to be one hell of an actor because he actually somehow, God, this line is just awful. And I'm skipping a little bit ahead. But it's when Rod shows up, I'm going to punch your ugly lights out, whoever you are. I was like, good God, man. I was like, I couldn't deliver that with a straight face. There's no way. Because also when we're introduced to, everybody here and we see Rod and I almost said Rod and Todd, like fucking The Simpsons. But Rod's like, yeah, Rod, up yours with the twirling lawnmower. I was like, Jesus, dude, some of these comebacks in the 80s are so fucking weird, dude. Like I some of them I really, really just don't fucking get. I'm like, it's too much. It's a mouthful. It's got to be quick. You got to have a quick comeback.
Maybe you needed to be there. Yeah. Maybe it was one of those things. You got to be there.
Well, I guess so. But we're we kind of have this conversation too between Nancy and Tina, where Tina's kind of talking about her dreams, and Nancy said she's been having some as well, and she's trying to convince her that there's really nothing going on, and they're trying to take her mind off it. We have this little sleepover, funny stuff with Johnny Depp putting the tape on in the background. That woman screaming is great. I started laughing then. I was like, all right, this is cute, and then it became really funny once everybody started screaming.
It's really funny. I like it a lot. I like him just kind of like struggling to keep up with excuses with his mother on the phone.
It makes me think of that Rick and Morty when Morty starts shooting those like bug aliens, and he's like, Morty, they're just robots. It's okay. And he blows that guy's leg off, and he's like, oh my God, Rod's been shot. Somebody call his wife and kids. And it's like an actual literal, like everybody screaming in the background.
I don't know, Colin. Maybe you needed to be there.
Shut up, bitch.
I don't know if that was worth it.
I tell you who doesn't need to be here.
That was worth the airtime.
That's who doesn't need to be. No, who doesn't need to be here is Rod, because Rod pulls out a switchblade at the first sign of like, I can imagine someone being like, hey man, you dinged my car. He just pulls that fucking switchblade out. It's like, Jesus, dude, calm down with that thing. What is this, West Side Story? Good God.
Tell you what he needs to calm down with, that dick, man. Like, I mean, he is laying
If
pipe.
there's two things, if there's two things I know about Rod, he loves leaving one button buttoned of a shirt and laying fucking pipe.
It's a Scarface look, man. Like,
God.
the Scarface look is what brings in the bitches, but also laying pipe so the entire Elm Street can hear you.
Oh, dude.
Like, I mean...
Well, and also Glenn and them having to listen to that, and Glenn's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I died at that.
Goddamn Doris down the street on Elm Street knows that he will fuck her to completion. Like, this is crazy.
Well, and I mean, if this were to go down like normal and they live like happily ever after, he goes out for I think milk and never comes back. He says she got a baby in there. Like as we're watching it.
Oh, I got a theory.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they came together indicates that this is a dream.
Yeah,
so this is a dream.
Yeah, that's how you know it's not real. Women don't have orgasms. That's a myth. I can't believe people that believe that's so fucking funny.
We're virgins.
Yeah, self-righteous virgins at that. That's what one reviewer wrote. I'm starting to believe him. No,
have you heard the word of the Lord?
Have you ever heard about our Lord and Savior garlic bread? No, no, the thing that cracks me up is they're banging and shit, and I'm like, dude, there's no way in hell that guy pulled out. There's no way. He's just raw dogging it.
No way.
And it's like,
nope.
What if Freddy Krueger was just going around killing people that were just like, listen, the world doesn't need another 7-Eleven gas attendant, and he's just like murdering people that like, he's like, listen, their lives are basically over here. I'm doing you a public service.
If you see, if you freeze frame the moment where Tina's getting rolled around on the ceiling, you can see droplets of her cream pie.
That's terrible. That'd be so fun. When she lands, it like splatters all over Rod. He's like, "Oh man, it's gay." That's what Rod. But Rod would say that of his own nut. He'd be like, "It's gay, dude."
Yeah, he'd be like, "That's so gay."
Rod would not survive in 2020 or 2022 now.
Oh shit. Yeah, I mean, he allegedly killed his missus and just fucking dipped out the window.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't fucking blame him for running, but like, surely, good God, you know how bad this fucking looks, dude. You pulled a knife out on somebody 12 minutes before you nutted into this girl and gutted her like a fish. Like, absolutely fucking killed. But
she's also so weirdly calm for someone who invited her friends over to like keep her company after this like horrific dream she just had, right? And she's like, I'm pretty calm. I'm just gonna go get plowed, and then head to bed.
Yeah, like I get that it's. I don't know, because I think that where we know it's headed after one bad dream, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I got some dick. My friends are over here. I feel protected. She just let her guard down, versus like now, if we're at the end of the movie and you're acting like this, you're a fucking idiot. You've survived somehow through like magic. I don't fucking understand. But I gotta say, I don't mind.
Also,
so go ahead.
I was gonna say, Tina's 15, by the way.
Really? The character?
Yeah. Yes, the character is 15.
I was going to say.
At one point, they say she's 15.
15. These are fucking seniors in high school. That kills me. Like, get a 26-year-old. Like, this person can rent a car in Delaware. They're getting them to play a fucking sophomore in high school. I got to admit, I think she does a really good job in the third one. I don't love Heather Langenkamp in this. I just be honest. I don't think she's terrible. You gotta be careful with shit like this because she's a really young actor. Well, probably one of her first. I mean, obviously a huge gig for her. I think she does a good job for somebody starting out. But there is part of like I don't love her. I love Tina. I think Tina does an amazing job, dude. Her death scene. I kind of wish they'd swap them, but then you wouldn't have that epic Tina death scene. Like Amanda Weiss sells that fucking murder. It is awful, man.
I think. Yeah, look, I tend to agree with you at points throughout this movie. I think Heather Langenkamp, like her amateurishness is definitely showing. Like, you know what I mean? She's 20 years old at the time they make this movie, right? So Like that's really important to keep in mind. She is great in Dream Warriors. She is awesome in New Nightmare.
Yeah, she is.
I remember her
Yes,
performance
that's right.
in New Nightmare. But like this. Look, I kind of just chalk it up to 80s acting, 80s horror acting. Like, you kind of need to like watch this movie through that sort of lens, or any movie from this era through that sort of lens. Like, like it's really important to kind of sit down and be like, all right, I gotta calibrate my mind and be like, I'm sitting down and I gotta watch this through the mindset of someone who's who was living through the 80s. I think she does an okay job.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. Amanda Weiss sells the fuck out of that.
She's really
dude.
good.
Like, let's talk about this scene here where Kruger shows up through the wall, right? Which looks awesome.
Still looks amazing
by today's standards. I think that looks awesome. Fucking the remake. It is terrible looking.
Horrible.
I don't know what they were doing with that, man, but like this scene in the remake is like, just absolutely garbage.
How does a movie that was at the time, I mean, because that was 35 years prior at that point? So it's 84 to 2010. Yes, so it's like, dude, that's unbelievable that the new one looks even worse somehow.
Insanely shocking. And then, like, we get to the Tina death, and the Tina death also looks wildly awesome, good. Dude. Like, I mean, there's something about the unsophisticated nature of it. Like, the way she lands, it's like her legs are, like, above her, and, like, it feels like someone's just come in here and brutally assaulted her and left, like, nothing. Like, they haven't done anything to stage the scene, like, you know what I mean, to make it look more grisly or make it look more, I guess, like cinematic. It's just something that happened.
You're just watching it unfold, and like that's,
Yeah, absolutely. And like, if I am obviously comparing this to the remake, there's a character in that movie called Chris who plays the Tina character in this. Chris has a moment like this in that movie where she gets rolled around on the ceiling and stuff, and it doesn't look anywhere near as effective as this. Like, the only part that the only pro that I'd really give that scene over this is the actual slash. Like, I love the way Kruger slashes her abdomen. But like, this still looks awesome, dude. Like, hats off to Wes Craven. And like, forgive me, I can't remember specifically. I know for the Glen scene that they used a room and they kind of like put it upside down, like everything's upside down and they're pumping the blood from the ceiling. Is this that same room?
I don't know.
Because I think that's how they managed this scene.
I mean, it probably is, just for budget's sake. Why not? But it was a revolving room, so everything is like bolted to the floor and shit. Poor that Amanda Weiss. Eventually, she's like, "Hey guys, they had to like put her on the ground and let her get her feet underneath her for a while after this because she was fucked up. Like, just her sense of direction. And apparently, I believe what happened is all that blood started pouring around when they did the Johnny Depp scene. And at some point, it basically, like, they had to, I'm not sure if somebody did get electrocuted, but there was basically this huge puddle of fake blood that was just, I mean, fucking thick as shit. And if you touched it, it was basically electrocuted. There was all this I mean, it's just amazing nobody fucking got killed on this set. Just all the, 1984, obviously not as strict as today, but even then they were just barely making it barely making this movie as it was going on. But I mean, unbelievably iconic scene when she gets killed. I we give the pros, I got to give the cons. Probably the worst special effect in this movie is the wacky wailing inflatable arm flailing 2-man, wacky wailing inflatable arm flailing 2-man. Like, it's dude, the fish arms, come on, get out of here. I call them fish arms because they are literally being held up by fishing poles. And I was like, fishing that is dude, it's just I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I would rather have a movie that's a little more ambitious with her creativity, but doesn't have the budget, than somebody that has the budget and isn't as, like, the new one isn't ambitious at all. Like this, like, at least you tried something. Like, you probably had something. It didn't look like that in your head. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like something that when you execute it, maybe it's just really not able to be pulled off within the scale of their budget. But at least you tried. I guess it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's the worst in this movie.
Can I make an admission? This terrified me as a child. Absolutely
as a
terrified me,
kid.
man.
Yeah,
This,
I can see that.
because this is the first, I guess, real good glimpse of Kruger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's this first like full sort of like body shot, right? And then the first full body shot you're seeing of him is this elongated arm thing. And I was like, you know, as a kid, I distinctly remember being like, what
Right.
am I looking
The
at?
fuck?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is this? Yeah, because like as a kid, you're also not really grasping the idea of like dream world and real world. You're not really grasping the idea of he's able to, you know, pretty much cultivate anything in the dream world. But like this was like, oh my god, like everyone in this movie is dead,
Right?
Like no one's surviving this thing.
Yeah, except for John Saxon because he's invincible. Which actually he just recently passed away, not terribly long ago. I don't think, but I mean he had an unbelievably long life and unbelievably versatile career. But yeah, the death of
his run is goofy, dude.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he's got that 80s dad run, you know. Oh, you're talking. Oh, you're talking about Kruger. I thought you were talking about
Kruger.
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
sorry.
No. Like that. That is so, you know, almost like three. Like, oh, I'm gonna get you. And now is
the boogeyman.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And now as I watch it, I laugh because it's like, oh, he's so far away because there's Robert Englund's actually behind the camera. You know, we're about to turn when she hits him. But I really enjoyed all this, like watching it chase her down that little alley and the camera is like shaking running behind her. I was like, dude, I still loved that. I thought that was so good. Her death is one of the, like, I think an unbelievable fucking like death. Probably the best in the Nightmare on Elm Street series as a whole, because it's the first death you get. And then just it's like, dude, her basically like the breath running out of her lungs, the life leaving her. It's just like, that is a death rattle. It's like, that is awful to hear, man. That is so fucking awful.
It's a great death. I'm still going to give it number 3 though, because number 1 will forever be the ventriloquist one.
I do love
from Dream Warriors.
I do love that one, but this maybe it's just because I watched this one more recently. But dude, her screaming really got to me. I was like,
I love it, man. I love it.
So good.
See, I think I put Glenn's death above this.
Only because like, where the fuck does he go? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of hellscape thing did he get fucking pushed into, dude? Like, where he's in like
man?
a titty waterbed paradise now. He's like, actually, it's pretty good. He's like, for guys, it's awesome. You know, me and Rod went to this titty place, but the girls, I don't know, man. They go to some boiler room or something. But
yeah.
But yeah, so we get the death of Tina. Obviously, Rod yelling at nobody, yelling into the darkness. Her splashing. And this actually, they actually cut this scene down. You can find it on YouTube because her splatter is like, whoosh, like it's like a fucking Gallagher, you know, show. It's crazy. So of course, Tina gets killed. Rod flees. We end up now we're introduced to John Saxon, Nancy's father. He's a cop. She's talking about Rod. I love this. She's like, Dad, he's not a lunatic. He's like, he just murdered his girlfriend. That just absolutely cracks me up. It's like, he's not a lunatic, Dad. But like the things I think when Heather Langenkamp is playing it straight, playing it normal, she's doing okay. But with these stressed out, tired parts, I do like her more. I think she does a good job of selling, especially as the movie goes on and her kind of hope is just not there anymore. She's just kind of like, he's going to kill me. It's like, dude, that she does sell the shit out of that. But I'm like, this bugs me about certain actors. I'm like, close your goddamn mouth. Close your fucking mouth. I can't stand it. It drives me nuts, man. But she reminds me of like if Brooke Shields and Jennifer Connelly had a baby. I think that's what they would look. I think that's what Heather Langenkamp would look like. And it's just crazy seeing her pop up in like In Search of Darkness. I'm like, she's still got it. She's still absolutely gorgeous. Like I've always liked Heather Langenkamp, but
just on a
and it's just, I love her coming back in the third one as like this, like Tobey Maguire, no way home type thing. I'm like, that's fucking cool, man. Like she's like the elder statesman of like the Freddy Krueger, fucking dream world. Nancy still decides to go to school the next day despite her mom's objections, and we
Hold up. Nancy decides to go to school the next day. She comes downstairs, and her mom's just pouring herself a nice stiff vodka.
Yeah, I love
as she's watching the news.
If you watch,
as she's watching the news, if you watch the news footage, dude.
Oh my god,
the arm fucking comes out of the fucking sheet.
I was watching,
and I'm like, who packed this? Yeah. Who packed that body?
She falls out, and they put like a party hat and like pasties on her nipples and shit. It's like, oh, sorry, you guys aren't supposed to do that.
What?
Oh,
who authorized this?
Like, no, it absolutely killed me because I was like, yeah, they would never in a million years, like that just. But it's unbelievable. That's some of the greatest imagery in this movie is Tina and the body bags. It's so good. But I love if you pay attention, like when Ronnie Blakely pours the vodka in the coffee or whatever it is. Like Nancy goes to drink it and she stops her real quick. Like, nah, that's some.
I didn't even catch that. That's great.
That's some Irish coffee.
It's gonna be before 9 a.m. as well, which is wild because she's just about to go to school. So, I mean, yeah,
I cannot fucking like that. That is one thing I love is like the dad who he is trying. He's kind of like the hero parent in this, and that mom's just totally fucking like tuned out. Heather gets ambushed by Rod on the way to school. He explains there was somebody else in there. I didn't kill her. Obviously.
Okay. Can we pause there?
Sure.
Can we pause there? Because she gets ambushed by Rod. Rod? Right. Yeah. And
Ramrod.
We've been told by John Saxon that there is a statewide manhunt for Rod. He's out here in broad fucking daylight and is able to pull the chief of police's daughter into the bush.
Oh, dude, he's running around wearing the same clothes.
I know that this is a setup. But still, man, like this is wild.
Well, yeah,
this is so wild.
And the ridiculous thing of like,
yeah, he's wearing the same clothes. Yeah. Like so the APB that you put out on him would be 100% accurate, right? So it's like, what the fuck?
It'd be different.
How have you eluded capture?
It'd be different if Rod popped out dressed up as like, I don't know, a clown and like grabbed her and was just like, hey, haka. I'm like, I had to put a disguise on. Like that would be one thing. But the fact also that Nancy's dad, I don't want to keep calling him John Saxon. There we go. I'm just going to call him John Saxon. Despite the fact that he is like, what are you doing? Go to school today anyways? It's like, you would not have even captured this guy without her. And you're bitching about her going to school. Kind of crazy using your daughter as bait, but I guess, fucking whatever. So Todd gets arrested at school. Todd ggets arrested, and at school, we see Nancy in class.
Wait, hold up. This is something that's just popped up. So he sees Tina rolling around on the ceiling. She dies. She falls. Whatever. She dies, and he dips. Right. He leaves the window through the window. He grabs his jeans and jacket before he leaves. Is that plausible? Do we buy this?
Probably. I think Rod is a guy who's had to run out of a house before pretty quickly.
He's had some practice.
Yeah, Rod strikes me as a guy who's maybe popped a couple of B&Es. Rod is the type of guy that when someone's like cops at a party, he's like breaking down a door. This guy's like, listen, I ain't going back. I ain't fucking going back.
Yeah, I see it.
So at school, we see Nancy in class. Little cameo by the incomparable Lynn Shay. Love Lynn Shay. She is awesome. A treasure. I think she's, and obviously her brother is Robert Shay, who's basically had a New Line Cinema. But every time I see her, I love her. She has it's very hard to describe, but I can't think of another actor that reminds me of Lynn Shay. Like Lynn Shay is a very distinguishable thing, but she's never really been like the lead in anything. Like I don't know, a series or something. Like I know she's in Insidious, but that's a later major character, but
she's kind of in all of them though.
Right.
Like she's the linking factor. And she is the lead in, I think, the third or fourth one. So
I remember she took the lead in one, but she's been acting her ass off for years. I think she pops up in a lot of Fairley Brothers stuff. Dumb and Dumber, Something About Mary, Kingpin.
Oh, okay.
But like
speaking of New Line Cinema. I mean, yeah, like they
Dumb
were
and Dumber.
pretty much bankrupt at this point, right? I mean,
Yes.
1984, pretty much bankrupt. This movie made a shit ton on just a $1.8 million budget, and then, you know, became jokingly known as, like, New Line became jokingly known as the house that Freddy built, which is wild.
Right. Like Tarantino and Miramax,
So cool.
you know, they call it the house that Quentin built. But, you know, the incredible thing is, like you said, the gamble that they took and the fact that this thing stopped and started so many times. You know, the fact that I think they lost Wes Craven at the beginning. I mean, a lot of this, you know, I'm pulling off a memory because I haven't watched this that long ago, but I believe they lost him at some point and then he was able to come back on. You know, obviously he and Bob Shaye clashed a lot. Bob Shaye had a lot of ideas for stuff that they should be doing. The oatmeal stairs. That's Bob Shaye, you know, stuff like that. Apparently there's like 4 fucking endings to this movie. Just a lot of crazy shit. And I was reading where the hell Freddy Krueger got his powers from. And there's like a whole Freddy Krueger wiki. And the dream demons give him his power. And they're like trying to break the world between the dream and the real world. And every time he's defeated, they like charge him back up and send him out, you know, like, so that's why he keeps coming back. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool. But the like
the Energizer Bunny of hell.
and it is kind of cool, almost like from like, because I like mythology, you know, Roman Greek mythology and stuff. If there was like a god of dreams, and he's like, yeah, you're my like champion, like you're my Hercules, like you're the guy I choose to represent me. Like that's actually a really fucking cool idea. But anyways, like I said, Rod is captured. We go to school. We see Nancy have this dream with Tina. Some of the best imagery in the whole fucking movie. Her in that body bag is just unbelievably good. You know, she ends up following Tina. You know, and this is like, this does get a little repetitive sometimes, but this is just the problem with horror movies, especially 80s horror movies. There's a lot of cat and mouse. There's a lot of follow the thing and see where it ends up. There's a lot of white people shit that I'm like, why the fuck are you going down there? Like I would never fucking go down there.
I'm so glad you said that. This is something that I hate in horror movies in general, is this like wandering around long passageways or wandering around attics or wandering around, you know, like there's a lot of like killing time, and I get like, you know, a lot of it is to add tension, but sometimes it's not even worth it. Like we'll talk about it on the remake. Like there is a long setup of like wandering, and then, you know, the payoff is just so shit, like, you know, it's not even earned. In terms of white people shit. Now that is a good point, because we were talking about this and I was like, you know, like her going down the stairs, right? Like, or her like being enticed to go down a very sinister looking alleyway or something. You know, I don't know if this is headcanon, but there is something about dreams where you're kind of like led by curiosity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're kind of like, there is something in dreams where, oh, like, look, what's that? I'm going to walk over there. And like, you kind of just go there. Like, you know, there's no fear element in a dream really, until, you know, you miss that one step and you're, you know, shocked back awake or something like that.
Oh, those are I have those a lot. I hate those.
They're the worst.
Oh, let me.
You gotta see your astrologist, dude. But like, no, I mean, like, yeah, we were talking about this, like Steph and I, and we were like, why does she keep going down these alleyways? Why does she keep going down these stairs? And, you know, like, I want to believe that it's because in dreams you're naturally curious, and I think maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, that does make sense, and especially Tina. It's not Krueger, it's Tina calling her. That makes a little bit more sense. By the way, $1.8 million in 1984 is about $5 million today. Still not a very big budget.
Still nothing.
That's still pretty
nothing.
much. I mean, there's indie.
Get Out was made for $10 million.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's like indie movies that are made for more than that. And I was thinking about this too. One of my favorite slashers, if I had to pick like what is one of the best modern slashers of the last like 10 years, 10, 15 years, I'd probably say It Follows. I consider that to be a slasher. Like, cause it's a very unique slasher and it's very 80s, but I do kind of consider that as a slasher movie, although it's a little bit more paranormal, but I was like, it's got an unbelievably unique setup. It's original, I was like, I don't know. I've always liked It Follows a lot. I feel like it doesn't get enough credit. It's like in the horror slasher kind of way. Let me ask you something a little bit off topic. Do you have nightmares? Do you ever get them or do you have them frequently or?
Not really.
Me either.
Yeah, I used to a lot when I was a kid. I don't even dream too often. Steph does though. Like she talks in her sleep a lot. And I don't know. It's interesting because this movie deals with the fact that we have no idea what dreams are still. And like even the remake like kind of gets into it. We still don't know what dreams are really. We don't know where they come from. We don't know how things. I mean, like yes, people have like theories. Like oh, it's the tide, it's the fucking whatever.
Right, subconscious.
But,
like,
no one knows, right? Yeah, no one knows. So like, it's just interesting to me that like I barely dream. Like apparently, like once this is according to Steph. Once I go to fucking sleep, I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Like, but I also like to tire myself out throughout the day. Like, like I try and like keep my mind fixed on different
things. When you
things.
sleep, you sleep.
Right. Yeah. When it's, if it's the podcast, if it's photography, if it's work, if it's something, I want to kind of like keep my mind preoccupied with something. So like by the time I go to bed at like 10:30, whatever, I'm out, Just, yeah.
I don't really dream too terribly. Mine are always random. It's like I'm hanging out with my dad in like a smoothie shop and like my third grade teacher walks in with like, I don't know, my neighbor or so. It's always something random. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Incredibly random.
Yeah, it's stupid.
There's no logic to dreams.
No.
This is something that I love. Like, I mean, we're not talking about this movie, but Inception deals with this a lot. Like the idea of like random things and, the kick being that one step that you miss that wakes you up. Like,
oh, dude.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
I have those constantly where I slip off the step, but I
used to have that.
I have the only things I'm really afraid of are like tornadoes. I used to throw up as a kid. I was so terrified of tornadoes. Like, being in the South, they're commonplace. But even now, there's sometimes I have dreams where I'm out driving and I look in the rearview mirror and I can see a tornado touchdown and it scares the shit out of me. And like that's some of the only things of like, and at heights, sometimes I have dreams. I fall off a building for some odd reason. I'm 80 stories up and my foot slips and I would just like wake the fuck up. Like, God, it's the worst.
That's intense.
Because I wake up Lindsay too. Like every once in a while I have one of those, but most of the time my dreams are just like, oh man, I'm in the Viper room with like Abe Lincoln and we're, like it's just what the fuck? It's so weird.
And River Phoenix and yeah.
Right, yeah. But of course Nancy has this dream. She sees Kruger. We get this nice kind of first introduction between the two of them. Just the of lights. He's pulling a Quince from Jaws, and just fucking scraping those goddamn nails. And eventually she's able to wake up, but not without causing a fucking total freak out at the school. And she ends up going to see Rod. And oh man, I'm sorry. I'm watching it right now. And that close up of Kruger's teeth when he corners her and she burns her arm on the pipe is like, God, there's something. I think there's also something about Kruger. He is so gross compared to like Michael and Jason and stuff. Like they're like, the Dragos of slashers versus like, he's more like, I don't know, it's a slimy, like, if they were like, yeah, Fred Krueger was like a heroin addict who like never wiped his ass. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I believe that. Like he's gross. Like he's fucking disgusting.
I'm glad you said slimy because I think that's definitely the descriptor I'd use as well. I'll talk about this on the bonus, but with that movie and the way they designed Freddy Krueger, they wanted to go in a more realistic direction, right? Make him look like more of a burn victim. But like, I love Robert Englund's design because it's so otherworldly. Like, it's just, it's more than a burn victim. It feels like he's something else. Like, it seems like he's a demon. And like, it's like with the remake, it's like, why go as realistic as possible? Like, I mean, if Freddy Krueger is a character who exists in the dream world, then why apply real world effects to him? Like, you know what I mean? Or do that approach. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
Yeah, and there's something, and we can talk about it on the bonus, but the design of Jackie Earle Haley, the eyes, there's something so interesting about Robert Englund's eyes, because it's this kind of gory, awful, dirty, grungy figure with these very colorful expressionistic eyes.
He looks excited to be there.
Yes, yeah, and that's the thing. He's the only one that really takes any kind of vocal pleasure in killing them, and his eyes like twinkle with that delight. It's interesting. Nancy goes to visit Rod in the local jail. He's taking a break from probably being somebody's bitch, because he's a pretty boy in there, and he's
he got his shit pushed in.
I mean, come on, man. He's got a chip on his shoulder and he's got those curls. Come on, it's happening. How the hell would somebody be under the covers without you guys knowing about it? How the fuck do I know? It just cracks me up. And they're basically just kind of talking about what the hell is going on. He says that somebody was in there, but he didn't get a good look at him. He had
nice for fingers.
Nice for fingers. We're all kind of now we're kind of putting those pieces together, and we have somebody confirming a story outside, because they kind of start hinting at this between Nancy and Tina, and then it doesn't really go anywhere. They kind of get sidetracked, and now here's another person trying to basically confirming what the hell has been going on.
Corroborates it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is always an exciting point in movies that I love. It's like, they're putting the pieces together. Cool. I dig this.
Look, if Freddy Krueger wasn't that big of a popular culture sort of character, if literally like my parents didn't know about Freddy Krueger or his powers, which they do, this would be so awesome. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this would be such a if I could erase everything from my memory about Freddy Krueger and watch Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time and see these characters piece together the fact that they've been having the same dream, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
dude. That would be so cool.
That'd be fucking gnarly. We get one of the most infamous shots in horror movie history with Nancy in the bathtub. Again, very sexual, very provocative, like you were saying. A lot of very provocative shots in this. I don't believe that's Heather Langenkamp fighting for the hole. I think that's a body double. I'm pretty sure, because I don't think she wanted to appear nude. I might be talking out of term, but an unbelievably.
Don't lie, you paused it, you little bitch.
I mean, hey, I had a VCR and I was 9. Yeah, I did. Now I just Googled it. But it did kind of make me laugh. She's in there and she's like, "Mama!" And then she opens the door and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just slipped." I was like, "Oh,
she's fine."
I don't fucking think so. Well, and the fact that she stands in the shower, like as she's just been pulled into this hole, and I was like, "Bitch, you've lost your goddamn mind, dude." I would be so. There's another thing that absolutely scared the shit out of me as a kid was Pennywise, Stephen King's Ed. There was an imaginary line in my shower that I did not cross, and I told myself as a kid, if I go over that, he's going to get me, and I've got to stay behind this line.
Sorry, can we pull? What? Excuse me?
Yes.
Can we delve into this?
Oh, absolutely, dude. What?
Colin. Here, see this couch? I need you to lie down.
Well,
lie down here on this couch.
There's an invisible line, and I can only stay on half of it. That's the rules. No, as a kid, I was so afraid that Tim Curry scared the shit out of me. I was really, really young seeing that movie, and I was so afraid that, like, even now, like, if my foot touches the drain of the shower, I'm like, no, that freaks me out. Like, I do not like that. And it's one of the only things that I am, like, still weirdly, like, we have a sewer, like what he pops up to in Georgia, a little sewer drain right there. And we have one of those right in front of our house, and our dog always tries to go over it when we're walking, and I'm like, nope. And I just make him go around it. I'm like, I'm not walking over that. And every once in a while I will, if it's like a sunny day at 2:00 in the afternoon, but I'm like, man, I fucking hate those things, and they creep me the hell out, dude. That's one of the only things that I'm still like, I'm a 32-year-old man, and I am still irrationally afraid of that. Like,
I just want you to confirm something. You are 32, right?
I'll be 32.
Unrelated note.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
31.
Yep.
31.
Just want to check.
Yeah. My social.
I'm going to need
is,
you to send through a
718.
copy of your birth certificate to me, just so I can confirm Because
Zohab's like,
that is irrational as fuck.
dude. But it's something now that like here's a weird thing. When I was a kid, I heard 9 was a good number, like a good omen. I can't remember who told me that. And then I just became obsessed with adding up numbers on license plate to the number 9. Like just weird shit as a kid that like, if somebody was like, yeah, you're autistic, I'd be like, maybe a little bit. Like, like I obsess over like little things and stuff. Like it wouldn't surprise me because I get weird about, it's mainly shit that scared me as a kid. And now it's like, I still don't like, I still do not let my feet touch the drain in the shower. Like that makes me very uncomfortable because I've lived with that for so long. It's like an automatic defense mechanism. I'm like, nope, I don't like that. That freaks me out. And it's all from, hiya, Georgie. Like it's all from fucking Tim Curry, man.
Oh my God.
I was like 5, I was like 5 when I saw that.
I'm so blown away. No, you're 32. You're a 32-year-old man who doesn't step on a fucking drain in the shower.
Oh, dude, trust me. I'll Google this right now and find a whole Reddit group that's like, no, fuck you.
I mean, segregation was outlawed in the South, I don't know when, but you introduced it in your own shower and you kept it going.
Oh, dude.
Why?
Like even now, like if I have to rinse off, like I used to move into like the water and and now I just move the head closer. I just point it up. I'm like, I'm not going over there. Like it freaks me out.
I'm so blown away. I'm actually so blown away.
I was afraid to take a shit as a little kid. Like I was so afraid because I was like, man, all I could think about was the arm coming up the drain and like getting me, because I think it's why Psycho is so effective. You're always so vulnerable in the bathroom and, you're naked, you got your pants, literally you're going to get caught with your pants down. And I had that weird fear as a kid about him getting me sitting on the toilet. Then I read It, and there's a part in It where Pennywise, I believe he comes up through the toilet, and there's a little kid in the bathroom, and he fucking breaks his back trying to pull him into the toilet. And it's like, holy shit. I'm like 19 reading this. I'm like, oh, there goes those fears all over again. Like, I'm just going to go shit in the woods, man.
Hey, listen, man, if you want me to cut out any of this, let me know, okay?
No,
we can cut this out.
We can talk about some dreams and some fears and stuff. I'm down. Like that's the only thing. Like, man, I saw The Exorcist when I was like 11. Nothing. Like I watch movies like this all the time. Single digit age, nothing. Pennywise the Clown is still like, that is like my hell. Like like Tim Curry's Pennywise is like, that is so like, I'm not like terrified of it, but there's moments I'll put that movie on still and be like, Jesus, that's creepy, man. Like it's still effective sometimes.
Yeah. Look, there is something very elemental about Pennywise.
Mm-hmm. But Nancy calls her mom in there. She ends up she ends up not getting killed by Pennywise, even though she crosses the invisible line. Come on, Nancy.
God damn it, that fucking whore. How did she?
Good Lord.
How dare she?
I know. She takes some no-dose pills. That's what we call them here in the States. We call them no-dose, like sleep. There's actually like truckers use them and shit. I usually just do meth. To stay awake, but
pretty effective.
Yeah, right.
Or Coke. Coke is also another great.
That would be great if her mom walked into that bathroom and was like, "Nancy, what's wrong?" And her face never changes this whole movie. Rhonda Blakely, God bless her. Her face never changes. No, it doesn't.
It's completely still the entire. Does she just have Botox or something?
Dude, that's what it seems like. And I wish she'd walked in there with like powder under her nose and be like, "Nancy, what's the matter, baby?" And like, I would fucking die. She's like, "Do you want to do a mad fucking bump of this Colombian booger sugar?" Like, you want to get geeked with your mom?
I just want to see Nancy's mom throughout the course of this movie escalate the substances. Like she starts off just smoking weed and just ends up doing like black tar heroin. Oh, dude! Can you imagine? Just that's something you'd see in like scary movie. She
opens up the door to her mom's room. It's just like an opium den in like Southeast Asia. You're like, what the fuck?
There's like sitar music playing in the background.
Yes, it's just really foggy. It's like a Vietnamese opium den.
Oh shit!
But the
she's chilling with Freddy in there.
Yeah, right. Come get a hit of this poppy seed, bitch. I tell you one thing I do love about Freddy Krueger: Scary Terry from Rick and Morty. You can run, but you can't hide, bitch. Like they have they call him Scary Terry, but it's Freddy Krueger, and he's like a dream, whatever. Like man, I haven't watched Rick and Morty in a while, but that one is fucking hilarious. They parody Freddy Krueger. And after this, we get a little bit of Evil Dead 2. That's awesome.
Yeah,
love it. I think that's my favorite of those three. I love Evil Dead 2. Another movie that scared the shit out of me.
Was not prepared for the chin, man. Was not prepared for the chin. You're gonna prepare me for the Bruce Campbell.
You know what his biography, I guess autobiography, is called. I believe it's called "If Chins Could Kill: Confessions of a B-Movie Actor." I was like, that's so cool.
Is that what it's called?
That is
That's
so
awesome.
good for him, dude. He doesn't take himself too seriously. I can't wait for the Evil Dead game. Have you seen the trailer for that?
Yes, I have.
Cannot wait.
That shit's wild.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just about to tell you about the. He came out, I think, yesterday and was like, "Yeah, look," because Sam Raimi's directing Multiverse of Madness, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I got cut out of that because there's just so many other cameos in it." And it's like, dude, way to hype up the fact that there's fucking 20 million other Marvel cameos.
Man, I don't buy it because Raimi has him in everything. Like he's always,
I don't buy it either.
It's like Dick Miller and Joe Dante. It's like that's just always it's always going to happen. Glenn comes over. She talks about dreams. Do you believe people can dream stuff that's that's actually happening? She basically she's trying to do an experiment here. She's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. She's drinking this coffee. She's trying to stay awake. She's taking the NoDoz. She gets Glenn's help in kind of an experiment. It appears that she asked Glenn to follow her, but she's in like her night clothes. We're having this kind of experiment with the dream, and I think that's really cool. She's trying to a very cool, brave, and smart thing to do is to allow yourself to willingly go into this place to see how you can push the boundaries of it. I think that's really cool to put yourself in harm's way to kind of figure out like, okay, if I do get pulled in here again, what can I do to fight this guy? I really like that. That's smart. It's really proactive. It's something that most people would just like roll over and die. And she's like, no, she charges headfirst into it. That is one of the reasons I do like Nancy Thompson is like a quote unquote final girl, even though she totally comes back. Which is these endings are so strange, especially once you get into like, so what the fuck happened at the end of this one between this and the third one? It's so weird. But she is unbelievably hot with that white streak going through her hair. And like the third one, I was like, oh, hell yeah. She's, like Rogue from X-Men all day long. Nancy has this dream. I love Johnny Depp popping out from the tree. He's like, yeah, I'm right here. Like,
then he goes right back.
Right. And I guess is he asleep? Because he would have to be asleep to pop up in here. Or is she hearing him from in the room? Like, as she's falling asleep, she's like, Glenn. He's like, yeah, hey, I'm right here. She's kind of in between both states right now, or is he just knocked the fuck out?
There were a couple of moments throughout this movie where I was like, I wonder how are the mechanics working here? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? I don't. This is one of them.
That's one of those things where it's like, it's such a heady concept that if you push it too much, like this ain't Inception, motherfucker. Like we're not trying to like break your fucking brain with this. It's a dream. It's but if you think about it too much, it's like, okay, I just got to get back to the killing. Nancy goes to check on Rod. While she's there, she sees the old Fred Krueger walk straight in. I fucking loved that. Him just walking right through the bars, just this unbelievably powerful, and it still looks pretty good. Honestly, it doesn't look bad. And the demented, just the look up, the smile, I want you to see me hurt your friend. Like, I want you to stay there and watch. I think that's so fucking good. We got another vision of Tina. That one's terrifying, with like the bag open and all the snakes and like centipedes and shit. Like, oh,
dude, I'm like, what the fuck is that at the base of her feet?
You're right.
I mean,
it's like a hentai monster.
It's like. I feel like I beat off to it last night. I don't understand.
So I was like, yeah, I just go to the store.
Am I dreaming?
I go to the store and get an octopus and just throw him on my lap and just tell him to go at it.
Right.
It's like peanut butter for a dog.
That's my Saturday night.
Yeah. Mr. Saturday Night Special. Nancy runs home after this little brief confrontation with Freddy. So where we get oatmeal stairs and Nancy's mom's face. No, Tina's face. I couldn't really tell. It looks like shit. Like the face he wears and then peels off. It's like, that's stupid, man. That's so dumb. Yeah. Like I think it'd be so much scarier if it was still Freddy, but he could mimic Tina's voice. Like, Nancy, you've got to help me. But it's like his face. Oh my God. That would scare the shit out of me.
I'm wondering if they were inspired by Texas Chainsaw here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was kind of wondering, yeah, because like all of these movies get their inspirations from each other. I think, like, you know, like Friday the 13th franchise looks at Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, looks at Halloween, looks at Texas Chainsaw. Like, you know, I think each one is sort of inspired by the other. So I was wondering whether that might be the case. Because yeah, you're right. At first, I was like struggling to see what the fuck's he got on his face. I was like, is he wearing a mask? And then I was like, oh no, he's actually wearing a face.
Yeah, it's super super weird. And again, oatmeal stairs. That's Bob Shea. He's like, truth be told, that is like some dream shit. Like when you try to throw a punch in a dream, it's like you're punching underwater. You know, or like you'll punch and your punches just do nothing. Like I've had weird dreams like that before, and shit. Like especially, and we kind of missed over it at the beginning, but Tina, when she's running, at first she's moving like this, but her movement, like the nothing is moved. Like she's not covering as much distance as she should be, and that's very very dreamlike to me. And especially this with Nancy, like just feeling like you're stuck in something or you can't move as quickly as you'd like to. Like that's so, again, maybe in the creativity is there, but the execution is just not great. It looks like she's got marshmallow steps. She ends up coming home and having this fight with Krueger. She wakes up. There's just little inconsistencies that do bother me, because like when she pulls Krueger out at the end, she clearly like has her hands on him, and here like he's got her by the wrist, like they're holding each other. And I was like, dude, come on, like if at least like stand up and act like you're gonna. I don't know. It just
all we get is a pillow feather.
Right.
I mean,
right. It's like, okay, cool. But
dude, I love Nancy's mom coming in, and she looks like she just got fucked.
Oh, dude.
Like, absolutely railed.
Dude, her and Tina's mom are apparently calling the same gigolo over and just getting fucking wrecked every Tuesday and Thursday. Like, good God. She's got that like dick hair. Like she just got fucking, you know, she just got like mauled.
It looks like she curled her hair with a dick. That's what it looks like.
This was kind of a mean story, but I had a guy in high school I just fucking hated. I was in chorus with him, and this guy was just unbelievably annoying. And he walked up and he had his hair. I mean, it was just the stupidest looking thing I've ever seen. And it was like this, like straight up, like it just indescribable. It's just awful. And he said something. And I was like, okay, whatever, that's stupid. And he said something to me, and I can't remember what he said, but I turned around, I was like, yeah, well, at least I'm not the guy who looks like he combed his hair with a fucking dick. And and a couple of people laughed, and a couple of people were like, God. And I remember him going like, why would you say that to somebody? I was like, I would say it to a man whose hair looks like he combed it with a dick. That's exactly when I would say it. And guess what, motherfucker? It's about now. Nancy comes to check on Rod. She begs her dad, hey, let me just see it. Can you just come and check on him? Great stuff with this, you know, kind of anthropomorphic fucking sheet controlling itself, wrapping around his neck. That's crazy shit. But they're too late. Nevertheless, Rod is dead. And
does she break his neck? Does he break his neck? Because he's definitely not up there for long enough for strangulation.
Yeah, right? I guess so. Probably a good neck snap. Strangulation, you know, Freddy's like, oh, fuck, he's a cop. He probably knows CPR. He's like, I got to break his neck.
Right, exactly.
This funeral, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, may God be with this young man's soul. But he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. It's like, excuse me.
I was like, the guy's fucking family is right there, bro. Just because he died in jail, and it's not even like prison. He was fucking awaiting arraignment.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
The only thing I'll give him credit for is he says, but let us also recall our Lord's. I'm fucking let's go too fast. That we judge not, lest we be judged. It's like, oh, okay. So at least he follows it up with like, yeah, you might say,
don't give me that shit, Colin. He's like, look, you killed a bitch, so you get killed like a bitch. Right. That's what he's saying.
What would be hilarious is he's like, all right, and God, you know, he does like the Hail Mary. And he's like, oh, and may God rest Todd's soul. And then when it's over, he's like, and just spits on the ground. Oh, I would love it. He smokes a cigarette and like flicks it into the coffin. He's like, burn, you fucking pig.
Dog walks up and just starts pissing inside.
After the funeral, Nancy's talking to her parents. I will. I mean, obviously, kind of a dickbag character, but I do feel, because the thing is, even if Krueger doesn't murder Rod, he's still going down for this. Yeah, there's no way. He was seen with a knife, it's like, dude, there's just no way. Nancy talks to her parents, tells them the killer's still on the loose, basically saying that he's all burned up. He's got a red and green sweater. I mean, God, I can't imagine what they're thinking in this, and then it'd be one thing if it were like, I know that you killed somebody, but then saying that this guy is still alive, like, holy shit, that's fucking nuts. And I think there's something especially sad about Rod that's like this collateral damage of Freddy Krueger that, that Rod would have been fucked regardless of had he lived or not. And that's I don't know, extremely tragic, even though he's kind of a dickbag character. It's still just like the ripple effect of just the lives that this Krueger has ruined. It's just unbelievable. I don't know. It was a brief moment. I was like, man, that does kind of make me sad for Rod. It sucks. I think we're at about the halfway point. We're about to get into the sleep study with Nancy, but I really need to take a piss. I'm going to get something to drink. What do you say? You cool for a break?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere and don't fall asleep. We'll be right back with the second half of our coverage of Nightmare on Elm Street. Hey guys, what's going on? Colin jumping in here in the middle. Just kind of let you know some stuff that's going on at Midnight Double Feature. First off, please stop by and rate and review us on iTunes. Let us know how we're doing. It helps out so much. It takes 5 seconds and it's free. So there you go. We would really, really appreciate it. Also, you can find us on our socials. We're on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Twitter at MDF Pod. Please also join the group that we have attached to our Facebook page. It's called the After Party. Everybody's invited. That group has been really expanding and we're really excited to see where it's going. We can also find our website, midnightdoublefeature.com. We got our merch there. If you want to know something, you want to find us on our socials, you want to see what all's going on, that's kind of like our main hub. That's really where to find it if you want it. We also have a podcast for Breaking Bad that we have going on. It's called Bad Crystal. It's an interesting show where I actually haven't seen any of the episodes of Breaking Bad. Zoheb has seen it like 15 times and he's kind of leading me through it. I'm experiencing it for the first time with a veteran, and it's an interesting dynamic and it's a lot of fun. And lastly, if you really, really, really want to support the show and really put all your cards on the table, we do have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/midnightdoublefeature. It's $5 a month. There's only one tier. You get all access to everything that we've got going on. We've got bonus episodes. We've got off the rails kind of stuff. We've got a lot of stuff that's not going to make it to the main page, and there's a lot more geared for Patreon kind of stuff. So we really hope to see you guys over there. Like I said, plans start at $5 a month and end at $5 a month. That's the only one that we've got going on. We really, really hope that you guys can join up there, and we will hope to see you soon. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in for the second half of our coverage of A Nightmare on Elm Street. What? God damn it, Zoheb. Good Lord.
Okay, so little behind the scenes. This is because this is staying in the episode. So Colin has tried twice now to bring us back from the
like a professional.
From the break.
Like a professional.
And I've interrupted him. Like both times he's quoted Freddy Krueger. That last time it was from Dream Warriors, "Welcome to Primetime, bitch," and then now you're just like, "What is up, ladies and gentlemen?" But, like, it reminds me. It reminds me of The Office. Like how Michael takes the call, like the first call, and he's just like, "Jan Levinson, I presume," and Pam like holds the call. She's like, "It's still me," and then she's like, "He usually does better on the second try," and he's like, "Hey, Jan, how you going?" That's literally what this was.
That's fucking great. Anyways, God, no, we're coming back at you with the second half of our coverage of Nightmare on Elm Street. We are freshly squeezed, as we always like to say, and we're getting into this dream sequence with Nancy. We're getting it's some science, bitch. That's exactly what's going on here. And we're going to study some of her dreams, and we're kind of seeing. I believe I don't want to say this wrong, but I am pretty sure the doctor that is hanging out over her is the guy from Zodiac that's in that house with Jake Gyllenhaal, Charles Fleischer. I
can see it because I was like, this guy looks super familiar and super creepy. Why does he look creepy? And then that makes total sense. These guys are doing science shit, dude. These guys have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Like, I mean, like these guys might as well be like, oh, peanut butter makes dreams. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know what the fuck they're testing for. Come on.
Yeah, this guy Charles. Sorry,
1984.
Yeah, I mean, God, we literally the year prior we had just gotten color televisions, so it's absolutely insane. Just kidding. Charles Fleischer. Yeah, I was right. He is that guy from Zodiac, Bob Vaughn, but he is also, and I want to make sure I got this right. He's Roger Rabbit. The doctor standing above Nancy is Roger Rabbit. Yeah, he's Benny the Cab, Greasy Psycho, and Roger Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That is crazy. He's Back to the Future Part 2. He's done a lot of shit. God damn. But yeah, this we're setting some of her dreams. Finally, she's going to get some sleep, but she's going to end up having a bit of an episode here. Because basically, when they're doing this dream sleep, Nancy's kind of doing her own little experiment, and she ends up pulling out the hat. To summarize this, and we can kind of go into a little bit more detail, but to summarize the scene as a whole, is her pulling this hat out and having a undeniable physical manifestation of her dreams. It's that, and again, I feel like this was I don't want to say a groundbreaking concept because I don't know every fictional story ever written about dreams, but this was definitely one of the first mainstream things I ever saw of somebody pulling something out of a dream with them. I was like, whoa, that is fucking cool, man. That is so gnarly. I never would have thought of that. Like I can't think of anywhere else where this happens in film or TV or books or something. You know what I mean?
No, I do know what you mean. I can't remember whether this was the first time I ever saw something like this. I think mainly because I was already so familiar with the concept of Freddy Krueger that I knew that this was possible. But I love my favorite element of this entire scene is the fact that we don't see the struggle.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's like in my mind, I want to picture that there's some kind of like huge epic battle going on, and like something's happened to change her hair. You know, she's struggled with him, she's physically fought him to be able to grab the hat, and then she's waken up. I love that we don't see this in the, like, you know, we don't see the physical the battle in her dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think that is brilliant because it would have been redundant because we've gotten like 2 of these already and like a kind of like a third one with the one with Rod. I think kind of the theater of the mind really helps them out a lot. And Heather Langenkamp plays this so fucking well when she comes back. Her exhaustion is palpable. It's intense. And you know, she's confronts her mom. Hey, it's got his name in it. This fucking hat says Fred Krueger. You know, you know who he is because he's after me now. And that's just like, man, you know, it's just you know, she's sporting the cut on her arm. She's like, I went in there with no cut and a hat, and guess what I came out there with, you know? It's like, I hate to tell you, but some shit's getting kind of fucked up. And they end up kind of having this confrontation. Her mom pops her. She goes, you know what? Freddy Krueger can't come after you anymore. We're kind of, she doesn't fully lay out the story here, but I think she's kind of giving her basically just telling her that he's dead, that's not possible. So we're getting a few more pieces of what exactly is going on. I gotta admit, the mom, kind of hot. There's something. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's kind of. If somebody was like, "Yeah, that's an android," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Because her face just doesn't really change. But I think she's got that like classic Hollywood kind of beauty. You know, I think she's got that old school kind of beauty. And
always drunk.
Yeah, always drunk, somewhat belligerent. Somewhat belligerent. Not empathetic towards the fact that her daughter has like 4 8-inch slashes across her arm, you know, just little things that I look for in a woman all the time.
Yes.
This is
and you want them to physically restrain you by putting bars on your house as well,
right?
That's also
I want a woman who's going to die at 46 from drinking, and I want her to I want her to slap me in the kitchen. I want it all. If that's too much, you know what? This is America. I think that's perfectly fine to ask for.
And someone who's killed someone, right? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, a vigilante by heart.
Prerequisite.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a sexual fantasy of mine, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But she's kind of opened up. She, now that she's got this hat, and she's denying. So basically, she kind of denies, I think, at first that the hat is Fred Krueger's, but we all kind of know exactly where this is headed. We get this meeting with Glenn on the bridge. I don't know if this is the bridge, but I feel like it's the bridge from Highlander when it's Christopher. You never seen it. Never mind. A great scene with Christopher Lambert and one of the other Highlanders, and it's like, man, this is just so like. But it also cracks me up.
It just looks like Venice.
Well, there's a huge fucking palm tree in the back, and they're like, "Yeah, this is Ohio." I was like, "Oh, really? You get those imported? That's interesting."
I mean, Gold's Gym is literally around the corner.
Yeah, right. I just be so funny. You see like Schwarzenegger just running in the background, and be like, "Oh, look, there he is." But
I love how she comes home and she sees the bars in the window, and the only thing she has to say is, "Oh, gross."
Yeah, right. It's like, dude, you're living in like a DMZ now. It's like you and you're like, "Oh, that's gross."
Got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the timeline here? Because the timeline at the end of this movie is a little wishy-washy. So Nancy's mother went out to the hardware store, bolted up all these windows and doors by herself, right?
Well, she's a white woman in the 80s. She would hire a bunch of Mexicans, to be completely honest.
See, but I don't know, because off air you told me that's another thing that attracted you, a woman who can actually do some carpentry.
Right, and a racist, absolutely. Now, Nancy's mom strikes me as the type of woman that would hire illegal immigrants to do labor super cheap and then complain about people coming to the country. You know what I mean? Right. She strikes me as that type.
I mean, this is Venice that we're in after all. I mean, she walks up to the
I love Paris,
the corner, and she's like, "Órale, vatos."
Yeah. Well, and
she's got the button all the way up.
Oh yeah,
she's got the teardrop. She puts a teardrop down.
She's trying to be like a hip mom. She's like, I heard this is really in, with the
skateboard.
She's like, I heard it's really in with the Browns. Like, oh, come on, good lord,
okay, come on, man. We're tan.
Yeah, we're tan. But this is where Glenn kind of lays out the Balinese way of dreaming, that basically they could kind of harness these powers. They could control their dreams. They call them dream skills. So if you have a nightmare, for instance, like you're falling, instead of screaming, and going all nuts, you say, okay, I'm going to make up my mind that I fall into a magic world. Basically kind of breaking down, laying the seeds of what will eventually be the dream warrior for Nancy. And I just think that's so fucking cool, especially in the third one when she sees Krueger and Krueger sees her and he goes, "You," and she's like, "Oh shit." I love that part. That is so fucking cool, man. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like the chosen one, like fighting. But he tells her about, basically turning their back on these bad dreams, which is exactly what she does at the end. She ends up basically, saving her life, for more or less. She's setting up booby traps, learning how to do that. Like you said, she comes home, she's got the bars on the windows. Man, I love that house, by the way. That is an unbelievably iconic house. And just so, man, even with the bars on the windows, I mean, it's still, come on, you're living in California. I'd probably have bars on the window too, to be 1,000%. I would have the windows built with fucking bars in them. Just save it. Like Sydney.
Something you might know. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned this. We had bars in our windows for a very long time.
Really?
I'm talking about my dad probably took them off 4 years ago or something like that. Basically, he's just, dad's being dad. He's very paranoid that, because we used to have a single story home, and then 12 or 13 years ago, he decided to extend it. So we got another story,
Mhm.
right? The construction renovated it, and then Dad, being Dad, was very paranoid, so he put bars in the windows, and we were very young when we renovated, so he just kind of like left it, and so like pretty much bars in the windows, so no one would take
Right.
a tumble off the second story, but yeah. That was it.
That was
That's the
thrilling. Thank you so much for that. That was fucking thrilling. I wish I had one of
Fuck
those.
you, man. All I can say is that I relate to Nancy's frustration.
I wish I had one of
Right?
those bars to smash over my fucking head. No, I'm just kidding. I'll save that for the bonus episode. No, I'm just no, and that's so different to me because as a kid, like literally, we never even locked our doors ever. As a kid.
Oh, wow.
Like we lived on 5 acres on like a 50-mile-an-hour road. Like nobody ever walked down our road. Like nothing. I mean, we had guns though,
I wonder if this is because my parents are immigrants, kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's coming to a different country, sort of thing, and yeah.
That'd be so funny. It's like, yeah, we had to put those up because Zoheb kept climbing out at night and biting the neighbor's kids.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, that was when I had rabies. It was undiagnosed. It was terrible. Nancy comes home, bars in the window. Her mom lays everything out. This is who Fred Krueger is. He was a child killer. Eventually we killed him. He got off on a technicality. Somebody didn't sign a search warrant the right way or something like that, basically. And he gets off on a technicality. Which is interesting, and I kind of like the fact that they don't show this, but there is that scene in Freddy vs. Jason where they actually do show it, and I was like, man, that is kind of cool. Like, I do kind of love watching a child molester get burned to death. To see that.
They showed it in the remake. Yeah.
Right, that as well. I would like, and we can get into that like when that episode, and I do like that one as well. But the first one I ever really saw was Freddy versus Jason, and I just thought the way they shoot that is really cool. The kind of like the shaky cam, like on the parents, and you can't really tell exactly who's who. I love all of that, and there's actually, it's on YouTube. I think I might have mentioned this in Freddy versus Jason. I can't remember. It's not, absolutely fantastic, but it's a fan short film. It's like 40 minutes long. It's called The Confessions of Fred Krueger, and it's him sitting in the police interrogation room just like confessing to all of this shit. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, it's like him as a human being, before all the shit goes down. I was like, man, that's kind of nuts. But her mom, she ends up showing her like the finger glove. That sounded weird. The finger knives, but she tells her, hey, it's okay now. You can sleep. He's dead. He's not coming after you. Chill the fuck out. We check in on Glenn, who's man, this dude is like, even for 1984, it's like, dude, you have a record player with your own headphone, a TV, and a water bed. I was like, dude, being
you didn't even mention the crop top.
80s. Oh well, you
didn't mention the crop top.
I was not fascinated or fixated by it, but tell us, Oheb, you like crop tops?
Well, yeah, like look at him, man. Like his supple, like
look at that supple belly button.
You can eat a bowl of oatmeal out of his belly button. Yeah. It's
a whole bowl of oatmeal. If your belly button is big enough to eat a bowl of oatmeal out of, you need to go to the doctor. You've been shot with a cannon.
It's called portion control, Colin.
Yeah. But this is again such a crazy plan that Nancy has. I'm gonna grab him in my dream. You see me struggling. We both come out and you whack the fucker and we got him. Again, smart. Now she's gathered the information. She knows exactly what she's capable of in the dream world, and she's gonna actually formulate a plan and fight this guy. I love this. Yeah, I love a female character that is proactive and not reactive. That is one of the best things. And I think something that a lot of movies get wrong with female characters and female protagonists sometimes is they're reactive and they're just constantly letting the elements dictate their actions. And it's like, no, she's actually like, I am going to make something happen. Like, I'm not going to just keep dodging this guy's bullets. I'm going to start shooting some of my own. I'm like, cool, man. I think
this is definitely a byproduct of coming 5 years after Ellen Ripley. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Ripley. I'm not saying that Ripley was the first one, but I just rewatched Alien not too long ago as well. There is definitely a concerted effort to make her proactive and not a character who sits on the sidelines a lot. Mm-hmm. So, like, after that we got Sarah Connor, and then here comes Nancy as well. So yeah, I think it's definitely a byproduct of the Ripley effect.
Yeah, and the more the better. I've always said, anytime I've pointed to a great female character voice, it's Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley.
That's not what you told me offline.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Real women, disgusting. Absolutely hate them. Fictional, however, no. I'm only interested in women that have a power loader suit on at all times.
And Nancy's mother.
And a power loader suit. Good God, I'm shutting it down early. I've got to rub it out.
That's a dream situation.
Yeah, that's my dream. And
she's got a giant bottle of Grey Goose in the power loader.
Yeah, exactly. That's her main weapon. It's just like, it's not like a flamethrower or anything. It's just like a giant bottle of like Grey Goose.
Shit.
It's like a rail gun on her left arm that just shoots like Vicodin. It just unloads in the Queen alien and just blacks her out.
God damn it.
Nancy, but again, they formulate this plan. And he's like, yeah, that's why I love you. Well, if you do, you'll whack this fucker when I bring him out. And this whole thing, like this whole dynamic between them of being able to see each other across the street and being on the phone, like there's something at first I'm like, man, that does feel a little small, but it's like, man, that feels like, I knew the kids who lived next door and across the street from me. And there's plenty of times to be like, hey, Ben, go to your front door, and he'd open it up, like, "What's up, dude?" And I'd wave, just like childlike shit. And I was like, "Man, it can make that world feel smaller, but we are literally talking about a goddamn street." It's like there's a specific area we're talking about here. Nancy is pounding back some more of the no-dos. Glenn says he's I like, what is it? What is he? How can you hear what she's going to say? Who cares what she says? It's like Miss America or something like that. Miss Nude America.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, he needs to stay awake for 18 minutes.
Yeah, this is 1984. This is 1984 in California, and you're a good-looking single white guy. You can find some blow. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to find some blow. That's outrageous.
I'm sure Nancy's mom has some.
Oh, dude, that woman is packing. Like, I'm sure her medicine cabinet is just like a goddamn library. It's just like stacks on stacks on stacks of shit. That's why she killed Fred Krueger. He like ripped her off in a drug deal. She's like, yeah, he molested my daughter. Yeah, let's get him.
Secretly, she's the kingpin.
Yeah. Nancy feigns sleep to get her mom out of the room, and then she's right back up. Obviously, it's like hey, let's get as close to a tit shot as we can without actually giving him a tit shot, with like her back shot stuff. And I was like, but that's probably the only time she's even remote. Well, I don't want to know the bathroom scene, but she's not compared to where movies went with female leads like this is so not sexualized. I mean, definitely is, but compared to like a 2004 horror movie, it's like, dude, they're always like looking for any excuse to have like a pair of tits out, I was like, I kind of like that. I like the fact that she's not like, I don't want to say like objectified, but it's not, it's not an overly sexual movie. The sexuality in this movie is not something you're supposed to enjoy. And I like that. I like that this movie, the sexuality to it is like perverse and nasty and like wrong. And I like that because when they try to sexualize something else in this movie, it feels kind of off a little bit. It doesn't feel quite right because it's like, man, I just feel kind of dirty, because we're talking about a guy who kills kids and there's like all the time. And it's like, I'm your boyfriend now, like all this weird, like sexual kind of shit. So like when there's like, oh, let's show her back. I'm like, it's not really doing anything for me. I'm really not turned on right now. Like I'm really not in the mood for this. But the crazy thing.
Can we talk about Glenn's dad?
Oh, dude.
Glenn's dad outside. Just
John Wayne Gacy?
I think. Listen, Margaret. I think that girl up there is some kind of lunatic. I'm not going to hear any other thing about it. She's a lunatic. I'm telling you. I had a feeling she's a lunatic because there's bars in her windows.
Mm-hmm. Well, they probably talk. Oh, her mom's a drunk. She puts bars on the windows. Her daughter's fucking crazy. Blah blah blah. And I love. He's like, Glenn's Glenn's going to sleep. You have to talk to him tomorrow. And just fucking hangs up. And he's like, you just have to be firm with these kids. And it's like, well, don't worry. You're not going to have to worry about being firm with yours anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
I would love if his dad walked in after all the blood and he was like, honey, you got to be firm with these kids. Glenn, clean your goddamn room. Clean your room or you're grounded.
Oh, shit. He's like, I told you, Glenn. This is what happens when you don't clean your room.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah. Well, look, let's talk about this, man. We gotta let's just rip off the Band-Aid because here it is.
Absolutely. Well, and obviously you've got Nancy trying to reach him. The phone ripped out of the wall. I'm your boyfriend now. Some really iconic stuff.
The tongue.
Yes, the tongue. Nancy tries to leave. Her mom has got the door locked. Everything's barred up. Glenn gets sucked through the bed, and his mom's reaction when she comes in is brutal. It really sells the shit out of that. The line whenever the paramedics get there, did you catch this?
Dude, you're gonna need a mop.
We don't need a stretcher. We need a mop. It's like, holy shit!
Oh my god,
that is gnarly.
That is next level insensitive.
Oh, dude. That's a dude who gets into the crime scene. He's like, whoa, it's like a slip and slide in here. Like, it's like the most ridiculous thing.
This is fucking Deputy Dewey from Scary Movie, I guarantee.
Dude, absolutely.
So, yeah, this sticks with me, this death. This is one of the scenes that even the remake is not going to go anywhere near. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the remake rips off a bunch of scenes from this movie. But I think, like, even this one, this is just like the one that you can't go near. Like, because like, where the fuck did Glenn go?
Right.
Like, there's nobody, right? I mean, like, when someone says, oh, we're going to need a stretcher, like, for what? For what are you going to stretch her out? And B, look, this is the amount of blood that came out of little boy Kittner when he gets eaten by the shark in Jaws. Like, this is
a lot. It's a fountain.
This is torrents and torrents of blood. I'm just going to go ahead and read a little bit of like a trivia, if that's cool. So this says, even though it was a nightmare to shoot in, when it came time to film Glenn's death, the filmmakers went back to the rotating room that they used for Tina's death. The pressure was on, not only because the blood effect was complicated, but because they had one take to do it. The room was flipped upside down and the crew prepared for the effect. A sheet-lined chute for the blood was carved out of the middle of the bed, with crew members positioned, quote, above on the outside of the room, poised to pour in the gallons of blood-colored water. With the bed now positioned at the, quote, top of the room, Wes Craven strapped into the camera chair, gave the word, go. As cinematographer Jacques Haitkin explains in the documentary Never Sleep Again, when the crew began to dump the water through the hole, as soon as it hit the ceiling and hit the light, it immediately electrified the water. So the guy pouring the water got electrocuted, or as Doyle puts it, oops.
Yeah, that's what I remember. That took me a second. Crazy shit. Again, amazing nobody fucking died while they were making this movie. But Glenn, he gets pulverized. He gets juiced. And Nancy calls her dad, says, I need you to be over here in 20 minutes. I'm going to nail this fucker. Can you do that for me? He says, get yourself some sleep. That's all you need. Sure, I'll be there. Just get yourself some rest. And this is where Nancy starts to put her plan into action. This is where she really kind of starts kicking things into gear and starts setting up these traps. Again, the proactiveness, the Home Alone-ness of it is so, it's just basically the Home Alone section. And I love it. A lot of the stuff is genius. The gunpowder and the light bulb. That's great, man. I think that's so cool.
I love it a lot. Yes, the gunpowder and the light bulb really, put a smile on my face. But I'm just gonna bring you back to our theoretical ticking clock and just what's the timeline that we're looking at here? Because she does this.
That's about a half an hour, 20 minutes.
She shouts to her dad. She's like, 20 minutes, come back, 20 minutes, and then she sets her clock, and there's 10 minutes to go when she gets in the dream. So she's done all this in 10 minutes. Come on, bro.
She's a fast worker. Yeah, that's it's shit like that where it's like, man, how long has he been hunting these kids down? Is this over the course of months or is it like 4 days? Like, what the hell is going on? Her mom says, I was just trying to protect you, after she's done setting up all the, all the different booby traps and everything. Nancy said, blah, blah, blah. After saying goodnight to her mother, she's completely drunk. Nancy falls asleep and she goes down into her basement. And we're really kind of starting to set our final scene here. We get this nice moment between them, kind of saying, weirdly, like almost like they're saying their goodbyes. She says the Lord's Prayer. She sets her alarm. And that's now we're in the end game. Now we're at our final little battle. This dissension, the going from the upstairs to the main hall and then down the stairs, you're literally feels like you're descending to hell. Like it feels like you're going to like a deep dark place. And then she descends again. We find another set of stairs, these dream stairs that lead down to this boiler room. And this spiral staircase, and it's like, I guess this is just like a factory that produces steam, and it's like in music videos, it's like the factories that just produce sparks. They just make sparks. There's just nothing. There's no actual work going on. It's just all this like, it's just like a steam room.
Industrial.
Yeah, it's like a Rammstein music video. Like it's just this weird
Nice.
setup. And we finally, I will say, though, it takes Nancy a fucking while to get down to like Kruger's final layer thing. That's where she gets the crucifix. But one of my favorite shots is once you see Kruger's claw come around that pole and you just get like a quick shot of the side of his face. It's like, whoa, man. I love when we kind of hide those things and kind of obfuscate them with like shadow and stuff. Let me see here. Oh, sorry. I get my notes pulled up. Blah, blah, blah. Ladders. She concludes finding her final ladders and stairwells. Finds boiler room. Time is running out for Nancy's alarm. Finally, he attacks her. She struggles with him. Her nightmare suddenly shifts and they're outside of her house. Nancy's scheme succeeds, and she finally brings Freddy into the real world, holding on to him as the alarm goes off. And I like this. I like that her battle with him is not like in the dream world. It's not a super long thing because it's like we're literally about to do the same thing, like for real, like as soon as we come out here. But God, just I can't imagine like the fear of like, imagine someone telling you like, yeah, you can beat that shark, but you've got to go into the water and like wrestle with the shark. It's like, fuck, man. Like, that's kind of scary because you might grab him and pull him into the dream world, but not before he fucking turns your guts into sushi. Yeah. It's like that, and being that close proximity is just, oh, Jesus. I love as she's trying to get her dad's attention, and that cop is like, "Oh, he's in here. And he's like, yeah, okay, we'll get right on that." She's like, "Go get my dad, you asshole."
You asshole. That was so good, dude. I was like, oh shit, nice.
I love it, man.
Before we do get to that, she lights Freddy on fire. This looks awesome, dude. This really made me appreciate the stuntmen who get fucking lit on fire for films. This looks wild, man.
Yeah, I think from what I remember on the movies that made us thing, apparently what happened is this guy lights himself on fire and then he was supposed to just run around the bottom of the steps and then stop at the bottom, and they were just going to cut there. Well, he actually runs up the steps and then falls down, gets up, runs back up the steps, and then just like does this half crawl up the steps and stops. And they were like, put him out. And Craven's like, that's going in, dude. He's like, that's going in. That was incredible.
That's wild.
And again, that might, if memory serves me correctly, but I might have a couple of details wrong. She lights him on fire. Finally, all the cops break in just in time to see Freddy take a weird, like, magic carpet ride with her mom. Oh no! Wait, this where she actually. Sorry, he comes in at first, and they're kind of fighting, and then she gets pulled into like this weird. I don't know what the hell that is. Are they asleep? Are they dreaming? I think this is one of those.
I thought that they were asleep. I thought that they were asleep this entire time.
Right, because it's like, how is he doing that? Like, he's basically just a dude now, Like, he's just like Michael or Jason.
Because this is supernatural. And I want to believe that so Nancy's asleep. She thinks that she's got the upper hand, right? But when in reality, she's asleep. This is the dream world. Freddy takes the mother's body to fucking Eternia. I don't know.
And then he pulls the sheep thing, comes up through the bed.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yes, he pulls it up through the bed, and I think he's kind of like placating Nancy here. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of like making her believe that she's one. She's like, I don't, you're just a dream, whatever. She turns back. He dematerializes. And then, cut to fade to black. By the way, there's a lot of fade to blacks in this movie. We didn't talk about that.
Oh,
yeah. And then the next thing we get is the next day, right? I mean, like, bye, Mom. I'm going to go with my friends, blah, blah, blah. And then all the weird shit starts happening and the bad guy wins, right? That's what I kind of took.
Right, yeah. And again, it's like, so are we dreaming or are we not dreaming? Her being pulled into the bed through this weird magic carpet feeling.
This looks like something out of Skyrim or some shit.
Yeah,
like, wow.
That feels like a Bob Shea thing. That feels like somebody's note. Like, what if she fell into the bed? But it's like, no, I guess that would have to be part of the script. I don't know. It's just maybe that's part of the reason they do it is to kind of jump back and forth. I know this ending is not what Wes Craven wanted. He was like, no, because they're now all of her friends are back and Freddy's still alive. But ultimately it was one of those things where it was like, he just basically had to do this. I think either they're running out of time or they were running out of money and they were just like, all right, fuck it. That's just what's going in, cause they were, I think, probably wanting to set up some sequel bait as well. I tell you what, they should have really just cut with her mom standing on the front porch. The car drives off. We see the girl skipping rope. That's the end. Instead, we get blow up doll mom pulled through the window.
Oh, I was like, what the fuck? This ending is so bad. Just something else, Colin, that I forgot to mention that kind of leans into the theory of this is still a dream is the dad being weirdly quiet. You know what I mean? So the dad looks at the mother, being pulled into whatever. Nancy says, now do you believe me? He doesn't say anything. And he just kind of leaves to investigate the fire or whatever. You know what I mean? There's no, I don't know. There's no dialogue from him at all. So I thought that this whole time that this was a dream. Just the way that he was acting was very unnatural. But yeah, man, this ending, I think it would have been enough to just fuck with the car. Or we don't need the mother being pulled into this tiny ass window.
No. I think the only thing is that they do it quickly, so it does kind of add to a goofy kind of charm. But I don't know, man. It was just really, really weird. I would have preferred just his arm busting through the glass and her jump screaming and that being the end of the movie, versus what we actually saw.
I love. I mean, this is so superficial, and not everyone's going to agree with me. I love the way the remake ends. Is the through the glass, through the mirror. I know. It's so superficial. It's just sorry. It's stop looking at me like that. It's taking what this is trying to do, and I think it does a little bit better, a little more efficiently. Because this looks ridiculous, whereas that
compared to this one, I'll say, it's
that's what I'm saying.
But even then, I still think I really prefer this. Yeah, stupid as this one is, I think I still prefer it. But that's fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's, dude, final thoughts. I'm not going into all this shit again. I enjoyed it. I love this movie. I think I've talked about this for the last 2 hours. I don't really have any other final thoughts. I just want to get to comments. Do you have any final thoughts?
Not really, man. I think this movie rules. I think it holds up for the most part. Nearly 40 years later, which is insane. It's from a master director. I mean, this guy. What more can you say about him that hasn't been said already? Yeah. I mean,
The Hills Have Eyes. Last House on the Left. The Serpent. Scream. The Serpent and the Rainbow. Man.
That's
R.I.P. By the way, I hate that.
It's the worst. But this character that just became larger than life. And this is something that I've been meaning to say, and I was going to say it on the bonus episode, but I guess I'll just mention it here. I really want more of these movies. It sucks that these franchises get caught into these big legal battles about rights and retention and stuff. Because I mean, as shitty as that remake is, this is a concept and premise that is so. It's gold, man. It's gold, Jerry. It's gold. I don't think it's been mined perfectly yet. I don't think anyone's done it as perfectly as it could be outside of this original one. I think this original one's pretty fucking awesome. But I don't think any of the sequels really hammered home what you can do with this concept, and what you can do with Freddy controlling this dream world. And I want to see what a reimagining could do. You know what I mean? This particular concept, not a remake. I don't we'll talk about it in the bonus. The thing I hate about the remake is just how similar it is. And it's why are we doing this? Why are we doing the bathtub scene? Why are we doing the dragging of the corpse scene? Why are we doing this? I would rather something so different and so out there. Give them a $10-15 million budget, build out a dream world, build out this kind of crazy dream world that Freddy can fuck with these kids with, because I don't think we've seen anything like that yet from this franchise. I mean, other than Dream Warriors, because Dream Warriors is kind of what I'm describing.
I told Lindsay, I was like, the thing that I would love is if they did a continuation from the first one, and Nancy is still alive, but she's been in a coma, and in that coma she's been in the dream world, basically learning how to fight Freddy Krueger, and then when she comes out of the coma, now she's helping the kids, kind of like Dream Warriors 3, but more like a direct sequel to this. But listener comments. Let's jump over to our comments in the after party. I love Jesse Privet's. We were talking about we were covering 1984, and on bonus, we're covering the 2010 remake. He goes, I like one of these. That's short and sweet and just so good. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jesse. I mean, look, you can listen to our bonus episode. But Jose, Mayman Jose, he says, this first movie is nothing short of amazing. I was a year old when this movie came out, so obviously I didn't see it until much later, but I knew who Freddy was, even before I saw any of the films. He was both a boogeyman and pop culture icon to us kids growing up. Getting to watch that first film and seeing him minus the slapstick that came later gave me chills.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Jose.
Absolutely. Thank you. What a champ. What a legend. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to tackle two of these at the same time. I'm going to do Madeline and Leona Fallon. Leona Fallon, I love the original and the remake, even if Freddy's face in the remake was botched. Yeah, it kind of does look like
we'll talk about this.
Terrible lip filler. And then Madeline Fallon I found the remake entertaining, wasn't groundbreaking, but I did enjoy it. So a bit of a mixed reception, but average, kind of middle of the road.
And last but not least, certainly not least, Danielle Cutter. She says, This was the movie that got me as a kid. Michael Myers and Jason made me jump, but they didn't scare me. Freddy scared me. The fact that he could get to you when you were sleeping, are you kidding me? How in the hell do you escape from that? And the images from the first movie have stuck with me through the years. From the scene with Tina on the ceiling to Glenn getting sucked into the bed to the tub scene with Nancy. And she puts in parentheses, between this and Psycho, my paranoia when in a bathroom knows no bounds. God damn it!
Thank you for being a reasonable human being. Thank
Vindication.
you, Danielle.
She says, love this movie and the sequels. Range from good to utter crap, but maintain an element of fun. On a side note, Wes Craven is a top 5 horror director. The man knew how to tell a tight, compelling story with fun shots, good scares, and great gore. Wish the same could be said for the remake, which, aside from Jackie Earle Haley, has 0 redeeming qualities. The scene where they recreate the iconic bedroom wall scene, where Freddy presses out from the wall to hover menacingly over sleeping Nancy, looks so damn terrible, but it's also... dude, yeah, we talked about this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
She says, it also perfectly encapsulates everything that's wrong with the remake. Cheap-looking, ineffectual, and unnecessary. Looking forward to this one. Thank you so much, Danny. I really appreciate that.
Yes, I love that. That was so well put.
We hope that you can join us for the bonus episode.
Yeah, I can't wait for that shit show. Guys, thanks for listening to A Nightmare on Elm Street. We've had a lot of fun recording this. If you want to check out any of our socials, we're going to be on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. You can leave comments on our post, and you can have them read on the episode through the After Party. It's our group attached to our Midnight Double Feature page. Or on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature, or on Twitter at MDF Pod. Shoot us an email at midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. Don't forget to stop by our website, midnightdoublefeature.com, and join our Patreon, patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. $5 a month. Become a member of the Green Room, and you can listen to bonus episodes like the one we're about to record. In case you didn't get enough Nightmare on Elm Street. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Zoheb, bid the people farewell.
Farewell, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Ditto, kiddo. Bye. All right, you ready?
Ready when you are, man.
1, 2,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
God, you cunt.
So sorry. Fuck. All right, let's go. Sorry.
This is all staying in. All of it. No, I'm just kidding. No. You know what we should do? We should put this at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Let's put it at the end.
Let's put it at the end.
Okay.
All right,
Let's start for real.